We're living in a technology world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank goodness, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Presume.
Mhm.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Today, we are having a wonderful cooking demo from a registered dietitian that I met many years ago when I was producing conferences in Los Angeles called Healthy Taste of LA. And at the time, she was working with a wonderful plant-based doctor, Dr. Columbus Batiste, who's been on the show a few times. And now she moved from the West Coast to the East Coast, where she's working with another amazing plant-based doctor, Dr. Michelle McMacken. And I hope to hear all about her travels and her journeys. But she's not just a dietitian. She's an amazing chef, and she's going to be making a Peruvian sweet potato mousse with a roasted maple pecan topping and a Peruvian lima bean stew. And word on the street has it there might be even a bonus recipe. Please welcome to the show, Lily Correa. It's so nice to see you. Are you out of high school yet?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I just had my quinceañero, my sweet 15.
You look so young.
Thank you. How are you, Chef?
I'm good. It's so nice to see you again.
Yeah, it's it was funny because being on your show with you is kind of one of those things that I never imagined would happen. I mean, when I first came into the plant-based world, you were one of the people that my colleague Heidi and I were just always trying to emulate in our kitchen when we worked with Dr. Batiste. She actually still works with Dr. Batiste over at Kaiser. But we would always be watching your show. And then when we met you also in Toronto, because Healthy Taste of LA, we were there as well with Dr. Batiste. And then we ended up going to Toronto for that food. I forget what it was called exactly, but it was a very gathering, and it was in Canada, and Brenda Davis was there. Anyway, so we got a picture with you there, and it was just great to.
I know what you mean. It was called the Remedy Conference.
Yes, that's the one, the Remedy, and we had those little bracelets. We wore them for a really long time, Heidi and I. They eat to the left.
Into the left of the red line. Thank you. Yes, I should have mine on today. You know what I do is it got too big, so I keep it on my water bottle.
Yeah. So I still have it. I just I've moved around so much. There's so many things in little packages everywhere.
So how does one leave California to go to the cold East Coast?
Yeah. So actually, I grew up here in Massachusetts. It's where I'm currently at right now. I'm in the house where I grew up. This is in Northborough, Massachusetts. And so what happened is that I ended up going to California first, because I went to school out there. I went to Loma Linda University for nutrition. And then I moved back here because I actually wanted to go to the Natural Gourmet Institute, because when I was working with Dr. Batiste and Heidi, I really saw that connection in the kitchen that we're able to provide when we give patients not just here's something that you should eat, here's a plan, but also let's get in the kitchen, and let's make something and taste it and see how amazing this whole food plant-based life could be, and then to watch the patients' faces, when they tasted something, when they saw how easy it could be, there's a switch that went off in me saying, I need to really get into cooking a lot more at a higher level to round myself out more as a dietitian. And so I ended up applying to Natural Gourmet Institute in New York. And that's how I ended up in New York. Now, after that, my plan was to actually go to Peru, where my family's from. And I wanted to intern at this restaurant called Greenpoint, which is actually the most amazing plant-based restaurant I have ever tasted. And, I've traveled to over 15 countries and counting now. And that place is just, I would get on a plane. It's in Cusco in Peru, where, it's on the bottom where I'm on the road to Machu Picchu. And what an amazing place. I wanted to go and intern there. That was my plan because I really wanted to connect with my Peruvian roots. And that's when the plant-based lifestyle medicine job kind of opened up, and I heard about it and I saw it, and I just had to stay in New York because of that. So now I am living in New York. Well, currently in Massachusetts because we're working remotely because of COVID. But I go back and forth from New York to a time, and then to here with my family in Massachusetts for another time.
Do you know Maya? Because she's saying hi.
Hi, Maya. Yes, I do. And thank you. She's great.
That's so cool that you actually took such an interest in wanting the food to not just be nutritious, but to be
Yeah.
delicious.
Yes. So, and that was the other thing, Chef, so for this demo, I've been on this journey of really trying to connect with my roots a lot. Because I don't traditionally, in my repertoire of cooking, I don't cook Peruvian food. And so I've been really starting to try out more things and on the phone with my mom and on Zoom, with my grandma and my mom, just really trying to, get these flavors, get these recipes going, because Peruvian cuisine, has been voted for World Travel Destination Awards. Peru as a country, 5 or 6 years in a row now as just like a culinary destination. And there is so much of Peruvian cuisine that could be done plant-based, So that's really what I want to bring, to everybody. Just really a lot of the culture and all these different flavors that we could introduce into our palates, and right now we just finished the Latino Heritage Month as well, October 15th. So I thought this, would be timely to also talk a little bit about my culture. If I could start with the lima bean recipe, I decided on this one because I heard that people are not very excited about lima beans here. This was this was news to me. Just a few days ago, I was actually going to do a Peruvian bean recipe, which I had done with Heidi at Kaiser before. But since I heard that people are not into lima beans, I wanted to come and just really speak for lima beans because they are such an awesome, nutritious legume, and they have such a rich history in my country. So I'll just tell you guys a little bit. This is one of the oldest legumes that's cultivated in Peru, and it was about 7 or 8,000 years ago in the pre-Incan culture, the Mochicas, right? So they were cultivating these beans, and they used it for medicinal properties, and they used it because they also felt that they had all of these mythical properties, like curative properties as well. So there's all of these legends around the lima bean, and one such legend was that in the place Ica, where this lima bean is cultivated the most, there was a god. His name was Yampayek, and that is the Inca, the Quechua language. Yampayek was a god that had these lima beans that he spread all throughout the land of Ica, and everything was happiness and sunshines and rainbows. And one day he actually saw that his fields were starting to be populated with different legumes. And so he got really sad, and he ended up, just getting his lima bean and walking away with it and leaving the land, just walking away with his legume. Now there was famine in the land. There was floods from his tears, and the people of the villages, would do sacrifices to him and would say, please come back. Missing that lima bean. And so finally, after much pleading, because he loved the land so much, he decided to come back and bring the lima bean back and really establish the whole town of Ica as its rightful place where the lima bean is the most cultivated, the most varieties in the world.
Wow. So you're not only a chef, you're not only a dietitian, you are a historian.
I just think, what's really cool about food, Chef, as you know, is also, and this is an approach that I take with my patients often, is really looking at our connection to food. That's super important. A lot of times people will come into my consult and they'll say, I hate beans, or I won't eat this vegetable or that, because of the way they grew up with it, how they were introduced to it, and all of these things. So, we really talk a lot about the way that we're attached to food through here. So I always tell people, if you think you can't do without A, B, or C, or if you think you can't try A, B, or C, really what you have to know is that it's 80% here and 20% here, right? Because our mind is really what's most attached to the way that we eat food versus physiologically speaking, it's every 2 to 3 weeks our taste buds are changing. And so really we can adapt to all of these amazing tastes as our palates start to change. And so I just tell people, trust your body. It will, it will recognize all of this amazing food, and you will start to get a taste for it. Kind of like when you tried something years back, you didn't find a taste for it, but then you came back to it years later and you're like, oh, this is actually not bad, right? So I tell people these examples, then they start to be a little more open, to trying things. So,
Yep. Well, they say you have to try something like 15 times for it to become a preferred food.
oh, there you go. That's awesome. And I just heard also, I was listening to Michael Greger's How Not to Diet, his latest book, and he was talking about some research that now they're looking at taste buds changing every 10 days, not every 2 to 3 weeks like we had taught before. So it's even sooner that this can happen, when we are looking at our taste changes. So that's pretty great to
That's
know
amazing.
that, right? Our body's going to really help us when we start making these changes.
So it's never hopeless.
It's never hopeless. All right, well, let's get into this recipe here. This first one, I've already looked at making the lima beans in the pot here. So let's wash your hands real quick. All right. So what's really great about these lima beans, you guys, is that for a cup, you're really getting somewhere around 14. I've looked at different labels for the different companies that sell them, and I'm getting anywhere from 13 to 15 grams of protein per cup. And that's a pretty awesome, amount there. And also with fiber, pretty high up there, a similar range. I believe I put that in my recipe as well of the average that I was looking at. The other thing that you'll find that's great about lima beans is they cook so quickly. So if you have something like the Instant Pot, which I know, Chef AJ, you are a fan of because you're the reason why I bought mine, right? And you're the reason why we got one at our kitchen at Kaiser as well. We just loved watching you make all those recipes in the Instant Pot. But with the lima beans soaked overnight, when you're doing a pound of them, you only need to put it for 1 minute. So that's it. It's just like with lentils, you need to put them for 3. Lima beans, you need to put them for 1. So that's great. In Peru, how we make the lima beans is with the spices that I have put here in my recipe. So we're looking at the cumin. So traditionally, actually, let me tell you, it goes with a piece of pork, right? And so to recreate some of those flavors that I did not put in there, we're using cumin, right? Doing oregano, a little bit of salt and pepper. That's pretty much what I have in here. Now I have optional paprika and turmeric. Once you do a base recipe, you can season it to your liking. But this is just the base ingredients. And then, so I put it in there for a minute. It's already done. And what people in Peru do is that they actually make separately, and I'm going to turn on this pan here. Separately, they are going to be making a little saute, a little aderezo, what we call, like a sofrito with just tomato, with some onion, some garlic that I have here. And then what people do is they saute a little bit and then they blend it, right? Blend it all up and throw it in the pot and then stir it up. So that's how they serve the lima beans, really. Now in the Instant Pot, you can actually also just throw everything in there. I've done that too. It's not going to look as pretty with all of the little parts in there. So for me, I don't mind if I'm just eating it for myself. But if you're going to be serving it to someone, I'd probably do the blending part better. All right. So I'm going to turn this on here.
So Lily, a couple of people are asking if you could talk about your experience at Loma Linda.
Oh, sure. So Loma Linda, I am a very proud alum of the School of Public Health. And I knew when I knew that I wanted to become a dietitian, that's the only place that I actually applied to, because I was very interested in vegetarian nutrition. I actually grew up Seventh-day Adventist. So my grandpa was a pastor and he was the only one in the family that was vegetarian growing up. So I've always been interested because of him in the vegetarian lifestyle, or I was always interested. And then I always tell also the story that I grew up playing volleyball in high school and in college. And when I went to college, I played alongside many vegetarian athletes who looked and played, and the level of everything was the same as the omnivore counterparts. So this was during a time when people were saying that vegetarian diets were inferior for performance. So that also made me wonder, So I was interested in vegetarian and vegan diets because growing up Seventh-day Adventist, and also because of athletics. Just checking my pen here. And so when I decided that I wanted to be a dietitian, I actually packed up my bags and drove across the country to Loma Linda without being accepted into the program. I actually was an English major before, so I was teaching English, college writing. And so that was my career change. I went into dietetics, but I had to do, it was a complete, shift from the humanities into, I'm just cutting up my onion here, from the humanities into the sciences. So I had to take microbiology and all of these other courses, the chemistries, anatomy, physiology. And then once I was done with all those 6 months, I got accepted into Loma Linda, and that's the story for there. I really enjoyed my program there. One of the great things about Loma Linda is that they're also very into medical missions. And so I got to travel with Loma Linda and medical mission teams, like dental teams or, just MD teams, PT teams into different countries, 4 different countries, Honduras, Belize, Brazil. And it was really cool because I got to do a lot of public health and nutrition, both education and definitely learning, how to use different aspects of the lands, different fruits and stuff like that. So it's a great program. I really enjoyed it. Oh, and the new thing about Loma Linda actually is that they're announcing, or they just announced, I believe in 2021, the first Masters of Science in Plant-Based Nutrition.
I want to do that, but when I looked into it, you had to be in person. I wonder if they're doing it remotely now.
Oh, interesting. I don't know. I'll have to look into that as well. Yeah, because it's not supposed to start till the fall of 2021. But I know that they definitely have a lot of distance learning stuff. So that would be good to look into. All right. Now, of course, I do the water saute situations. I have my water here. I'm not using any oil for this. Usually in Peru, they would use some olive oil for this. And what I'm doing is I'm sauteing my onion here first. And then I'll do my garlic and my tomato so that I can go ahead and blend it afterwards and throw it into the lima beans. Yeah. All right, here we go. Now in Peruvian cooking, the red onion is definitely king, okay? I know that here in the United States, I see the red onion used a lot for raw salads and things like that. But I see people mostly cooking with yellow onions here. But in Peru, it's the very big majority of cooking happens with the red onion. So that is what I'm using. I'm trying to stay as traditional as possible. Now, it's really tough when I was trying to do these recipes with my mom and my grandma, because it's funny, everybody cooks different. And when you're trying to get these recipes passed down, nobody has written things down. So it's kind of like, oh, I don't measure this, but I use a smidge of that and I use that. And my grandmother says to me, no, but I don't do it that way. It's this way. And then so guys, this is a recipe that it came the closest to what I remember from childhood. It also has a little bit of lily in here as well. So it was awesome. It was a great learning experience, because definitely learning from them, all the different flavors. And it also reminds me too that we can all, take a recipe. It is really like, it's the base and then you do what you want with it, right? Like you adapt also your own flavors and seasonings into things as well, which is great. That's the fun stuff about cooking. I didn't learn to cook, maybe like 10 years ago was probably when I first started to learn how to cook, because I wanted to be a modern day Peruvian woman where, I'm not going to be in the kitchen. So I definitely rebelled against that kind of lifestyle, but then I also regretted it. I mean, nowadays I definitely do, but it's been really fun to be able to hang out with my mom and grandma and get all of these recipes going, or trying to recreate them at least. All right.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I just have my onion saute in there. And then the celery is going to go next. Just use. So now, traditionally, again, we don't use celery, but I like celery. So, and I like the kind of flavor that it gives off. So if you want to be a little closer to Peruvian, you leave the celery off. All right. So, Chef, have you ever traveled over to Peru?
I have never. The only countries I've been to so far are Mexico, Japan, and Canada. That's it.
Ah. So when COVID lets up here, you definitely should make a journey over there. I'm very excited to let everybody know that there's so many vegan places popping up in Peru. In Cusco, you know, where it's the city before Machu Picchu. So much great plant-based cuisine and happening all over the city as well. So that's very, very exciting. You will never go hungry. All right.
So are you able to talk a little bit about what you do in your job? I mean, now that you have to do it remotely now, I imagine, or through Zoom.
So what's really awesome about this clinic is, first of all, it's definitely a dream job for me because I always said that I wanted to, that dietitians and physicians, right? The partnership between dietitians and physicians was like the future of medicine. That's something that I've always had in my head about this partnership. And so we have 4 physicians that work in our clinic, and a health coach and myself. I got my little towel behind me. And so we make up the team, the 6 of us. And what happens is the patients, for this first round, when we piloted the clinic, it was self-referral. So people who had the conditions of type 2 diabetes, obesity, hyperlipidemia, and they wanted to improve these cardiometabolic conditions and also wanted to really take on, you know, pre-diabetes, diabetes would come into our clinic. And so they see the doctor, they're assigned to one of the 4 doctors. And then they come and see myself and then the health coach. So the model initially was to have us see a patient every 2 weeks, and really get as many touch points as we could, you know, to help a patient transition into a whole food plant-based lifestyle, which was amazing, you know, because research definitely shows, you know, all those programs for health behavior change, that 14 weeks is a great, you know, a great time for patients to be able to do a lasting behavior change, right? And the way that I like to present this to patients is by calling it an upgrade, a lifestyle upgrade, right? Because the word change uses a certain connotation. Isn't that pretty? Uses a certain connotation of being a little bit scary, you know, the word, like we're creatures of habit. So sometimes it's a little bit negative when you're thinking about doing a change. It can be a little scary. So I talk about a lifestyle upgrade because the word upgrade, you think about when you upgrade your phone, you don't want to go back to the old model. And it's kind of like being, you know, AJ 2.0, right? And it's like a culinary adventure that we go on. It's a whole life adventure, you know, new mindset. So it's really cool. And patients get excited about it. We've had some great results. We've published a case study. If you guys are interested, we published a case study. One of our medical students wrote it. We all contributed to it in the International Journal of Disease Prevention and Reversal. I forget what issue it was. The date escapes me now, but we published our case study there. And we are continuing with our patient program, with our program patients, virtually. So we have a Facebook group, you know, that's private, and that, you know, we continue to see them in this way now that we, you know, we have all these restrictions virtually. But we've had a lot of success in our program, so it's been great. It's been a wonderful, wonderful program. All right, okay. So now that I've added all of those, I add my garlic last. I always add my garlic last because it's the one that cooks the quickest. And I'm gonna blend all of this. All right. So you can probably already tell this is going to give it a pretty color once it's blended. Yep.
What pan are you using, Lily?
What pan? This is, let's see. It's not my own pan. I'm in my dad and stepmom's kitchen, so I don't really know exactly what kind of pan I'm using, to be honest. And the name says all Thea. I don't know. I haven't heard of that, but it's pretty good. Nothing sticking. I haven't needed to use my water yet because the tomato is very juicy. All right, so that's it. Just give it a quick saute, and now I already have my beans, my lima beans ready. I'm just going to show you. I just want to actually, how can I do this? Let's see. Maybe I should bring it up here. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like already. All right. See, they're nice and
soft.
Yeah, they're nice and soft and white. Okay, they're nice and soft and white. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to blend up this right here. Got my little blender here. All right. Let's see. Take away this. All right. Now, I have both a Vitamix that I just acquired and then this regular Oster blender that is also a very popular brand in Peru. A lot of kitchens have this. So here we go. I'm gonna add a little water to it too. Just a little bit. All right. There we go. I think I blocked that camera there just a little bit. Okay. All right. Here comes a little blender noise, guys.
Actually, we don't hear it now, do you guys? Oh, yes, we do.
All right. That's it. Oh, it smells so good. I am a garlic person for sure. All right. So, I mean, it's up to you how fine you want to make this. I don't know how, like texture wise, everybody's different, right? All right, so I'm just gonna toss it in here. Still see me, right? Yeah, there we go. All right, very good. All right, I'm gonna bring back this the pot here so you guys can see. It's basically mixing. Let me see if I can move the camera a little bit. There we go. Now you guys can see it. Aha. There you go.
Wow. Yeah, don't you love the Instant Pot?
I love it. Oh my gosh. So that's it. Lima beans in a very quick and tasty way. Now, what you would serve this usually in Peru, of course, you never have food without rice. So it's always a white rice type of situation going on. But of course, I want to upgrade my meal, still being Peruvian. So I have already gone ahead and made some quinoa, red quinoa, which I thought, color-wise would look pretty well with that. So I'm gonna plug this.
Heidi says that Lily Bear is awesome. Plant-powered Peru, exclamation mark.
That is, I miss cooking with Heidi, I gotta say. We always had such a blast in the kitchen. Now, see these little tools that we also have in Peru? Everything in Peru, I feel like in Peru, there's always such care in the kitchen. There's all these little tools that we have. Now, what we do here is we actually I'm gonna scoop the quinoa in here. That's what I'm doing. So that it comes out into, and then I pack it. I'm gonna pack it in here. This is how you might get it in a menu. So that's another cool concept that I really love when I'm having lunch in Peru and I'm in a hurry, is that around 12 to 4 in many, many restaurants in the city, they open up their kitchen to do a menú del día. So meaning that they have a certain plate of the day, and it's very inexpensive. My favorite vegetarian one. Bam.
Oh my God, that looks amazing. Just that little bit made it look so pretty.
So cute, right? So, I have this plate right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to serve some of these beans right around. I don't have a big scooper, and I don't know where let's see. My stepmom keeps her stuff, so we're just going to wing it, okay, guys? So that's how I'm used to it. When I go to other countries, like on mission trips, I'm used to winging a lot of things, so hopefully this looks okay. All right, let's see here. I'm getting a workout with this holding this.
Adina says, if it's named after Lima, Peru, why are they called lima beans? Why don't we call them Lima beans?
There we go. Hi, Adina. So the story about lima beans, or yes, that's true, Lima beans, is that they actually are named after the city of Lima, because with the Spanish, when they conquered Peru, they brought it back to Europe in the 16th century, along with the potato, which I'll talk about next. All right, kind of like that. There we go. And there is the plate. Let's see, Chef. You can kind of take a look there. Let's see. I'm gonna try to angle it. Yeah, that's kind of how you would get it, in a menu.
That looks like beautiful.
Quinoa and the lima beans surrounding it. Maybe a little basil to garnish it or something like that, and that's it. Okay. Very good. Yes, and so the lima beans are named after the city of Lima. So we should start a petition that they should be called Lima beans. That's true, but in English it's the lima bean. All right, so that was the first recipe there. Okay. Now let's put this down here. Okay, now let's move on.
Oh yeah, Lisa said they should call it Lima Linda instead of Loma Linda.
Loma Linda is a cool. Actually, it's also a Spanish name. Loma means hill. There's a lot of beautiful hills. It means beautiful hill. Loma Linda, beautiful hill. So,
I think your cousin is watching.
Ah, very nice.
What is how do you say cousin in your language?
Prima.
Right.
Girl cousin. Yeah. Primo is.
All right. So Calla Lily says, "Hi, Primo. We are proud of you, Alarcon family."
That's my cousin Dianita. She's an amazing artist. Yes. Okay. So let's move on to this sweet potato mousse. Now, the sweet potato mousse is something that my mom used to make for us when we were little, and wanted ice cream, but it's just not ice cream is just not as healthy. So I have this big pot here, and what I'm going to do is I am going to have these sweet potatoes. I'm going to boil them. I already have them all cut up here. All right. Now, traditionally, when we blend these, after we boil them, we take the skin off. So a lot of things in Peru, we take the skin off of things. And there's a movement now to start using, sorry, what am I doing? I lost my train of thought. Okay. To start keeping the peel on things, because, obviously we know that there's so much nutrition in this. All right, so I have the 2 large sweet potatoes here that are already just just cut up. I mean, they're going to be blended, so you want to make sure that you're cutting them into even pieces so they'll cook together in a similar way. And what I do really is, when I'm preparing it, I'm just going to cut off the ends there, the roots. So I don't want to blend that part. And then I just cut it up in chunks. So what I'm going to add to this water, it's going to boil in, is clavos, so whole cloves. Very, very also important in Peruvian desserts is cloves and cinnamon, canela. We even have a tea, canela y clavo, my dad's favorite, because those are very traditional flavors that we use. So I'm adding 6 of these cloves in here. Last one. I'm adding, so when you get cinnamon sticks at the store, they're usually about half this size. So this is kind of a large one. So I'm just going to add the one here. All right. And then I'm going to add the water. And I'm adding just enough water to maybe be about halfway so that and I'm going to cover it so they'll boil in there. It'll smell really nice. Now, my mom's secret in there is actually going to come from orange peel. I'm just going to do cutting up a piece just this big. I'm going to put it in the pot as well.
Hey, Lily, people are asking what the name of that really cool tool is that you got plated the quinoa with, and where do you get it?
Oh, this. I should ask my mom this. I don't know what the name of it is, and I don't know if you can get it here or where. Definitely, you might be able to get it in one of those Spanish market stores that has all these different products from, South American countries. Because this is kind of a really popular tool, but she brings all her stuff back from Peru. So that's where she got it. In the mercado, in the market, probably like 5 soles, which is $1. But it's so cute, I love it because it makes it look so pretty. Okay. And then also to this mix, I'm going to add what did I say in here? The teaspoon of vanilla extract. All right. So this is going to make your house smell amazing, of course, as it's boiling. Now I'm trying to stay as traditional as possible. So I'm using this vanilla that my mom got in Peru that you can actually also get here in the United States. They sell a lot of Peruvian products in various little markets, at least definitely here in New York or in Boston, the more of the major cities. I'm going to put that to boil there. Okay, let's see. This is an interesting kitchen that I'm using. It's got a lot of, I'm going to show you guys. It's one of those where you use this little dashboard here and you're hitting like a number. So I want to make sure that I'm hitting the right one. And there's all these levels from 0 to 9. So it's very high tech for me, but it's cool. I like it. We're working with it. All right. So now I'm just going to leave that in there to boil. And then I'm going to turn it down when it boils so that it's just simmering there for maybe about, what did I say here? 15 minutes or so, 12 to 15 minutes until the sweet potatoes are really soft. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take those out of the water. And it's just the sweet potatoes. I don't want to use the cinnamon stick or the cloves to blend. I just want to make sure it's just the sweet potatoes. But I do the water's going to reduce and it's going to have a nice caramelly also taste to it. So I'm going to keep some of that water to soak the dates in as I put the rest of the ingredients. And 2, because if you want, as we're starting to look at texture, you can add the almond vanilla milk unsweetened and this water, so that it can continue to grab that flavor that it was cooked in. All right, so I'm going to show you guys what that looks like here. There we
go. But you wouldn't want to cook those in the Instant Pot, right?
You could. Now, but the only thing that I like about this, or what I like about it, is that this aroma that it gives off in the house. When all of this is boiling, it's that cinnamon, clove, and citrusy kind of in the air. So that's why I like doing it here. And also, I can control looking at how much the water is reducing, so that I make sure that I keep enough water to use it. Yeah. All right, so I got my cloves back. All right, let's see. Yeah, I got everything in there, right? Yes. Okay, very good. So we'll leave that on the pot there. And I'm going to move on to the topping for it. Now, pecans are actually something that we use. Let me grab those here.
Penny says that the tool, you can get them at Latino or Hispanic markets.
Yeah.
I would imagine there might be something people already have in their house they could use, like just a small bowl.
Yeah, or one of these.
Yeah, exactly. And why not a measuring cup? Sure.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that what's cool about it also is it's got this cute little button in there, And that's what makes
it makes indentation. That is key. Lily Maya says, do Peruvians use spice like Mexicans do, like chili peppers, etc.?
Aha, yes, that's a great question, Maya. And we do have this culture of the various spices, the various chili peppers that we use. And what I'm going to make today, the last little recipe I'll whip up really quick, is just a sauce that goes over potatoes, and it uses our star of our cuisine, which is the ají amarillo. So I will show you that next. All right, I'm just taking a cup here of the pecans. I'm going to put it in there. All right, and then I am taking some, actually, oops, sorry guys. Okay, so I have maple syrup, and you can vary it to sweetness. If you like it a little bit sweeter, use 2 of the tablespoons. If you don't like it as sweet, but you still want, a little crunchy coating on there, use the 1. When you're putting something like the maple syrup and you're coating these pecans, you can definitely go ahead and add, some spices on there if you like. So basically I'm just, moving it all around, making sure they all get coated. You can, what I added earlier today when I was first making it is some of that pumpkin spice, because it's the season, right? It's the fall season. And so after I put the maple on, I added, just a few sprinkles of the pumpkin spice and moved it all around. Yeah, that's it. So with this, really all you have to do, once you get it nice and coated there, is you just have to line one of these little pans with some parchment paper or the silpats. I have those silpats, and make sure they're all spread out. Oven at, what did I say here, 350? Yep. Check it at 10. Everybody's oven runs different temperatures, right? And then mine took about 15 minutes to get that nice. You'll see the color start shifting. Then you take it out, let it cool completely. And by the end, it will look like this. I already have them made, because unfortunately our oven here is under repair. So now they're looking a little, ooh, they smell nice.
It looks like dessert. I love that you said that everybody's oven runs differently. And for like $10, you can get an oven thermometer, and I really recommend people get one.
Yes, I just got one of those actually.
Laurel says, what special potatoes do you love from Peru?
Special containers.
No, potatoes.
Oh, potatoes. I'm like, containers. Potatoes. Papa Huayro is my favorite potato, and there's 2, Papa Amarilla, yellow potato, and Huayro is, just again, a Quechua language name for a type of potato. So what's cool about, where I come from is that the potatoes originate from Peru, and we have over 4,000 varieties of potatoes there. Is that crazy? 4,000 varieties. Now, every May,
even possible.
I know. Every May 30th, we celebrate the Day of the Potato in Peru. And the last registry that I read just, prior to this demo, actually, there was about 60, if I remember correctly, 6,500 varieties of potatoes registered. And now a lot of these varieties actually never see the marketplace because they are exchanged within the Andean communities. So for wedding gifts or, different communal feasts and things like that. But there are over 6,500 varieties of potatoes registered in Peru, which is amazing. I've tasted quite a variety of them. Today I have 2 that I actually brought to show you guys, so I can make the sauce here real quick for you. This is Papa Huayro. This is the Peruvian potato. It comes frozen. You can get it at, again, the Spanish markets. They will sell these. And they will come frozen. This is the Papa Amarilla, the yellow potato. Now, this is one of my favorites because of the texture. Let me open it. You can see the bright yellow of it, but the texture of it is actually really buttery. So when you bite into it, you don't even need anything on it, in my opinion. If you just boil it and put a little salt in the water, it's delicious. So for this Papa Huayro or the Papa Amarilla is what we're going to put the sauce that I'm going to make right now on. Okay. So we have that. All right. How are we doing on time, Chef?
Take whatever time you need.
We're good? Okay. So while my water is boiling right now, I'm actually going to show you real quick. Let's see. This sauce. Okay. So let me get set up here for this huancaína sauce. All right. So my blender bag. All right. Now, the huancaína sauce, you guys, is actually one of the most popular entrees that you'll see in Peru. Every household knows how to make this sauce. Every restaurant offers the appetizer of it. It's one of our flagship appetizers. So the traditional way of making it, here's my peppers. Let me get situated real quick. Okay, the traditional way of making this sauce, this is the star of our cuisine. And Maya was asking, this is the ají amarillo, or the yellow chili pepper. This is a mild pepper. And some people have compared it to maybe in taste to a serrano pepper. So if that's what's available in the area, you can make this sauce, with the serrano peppers. That's something that I put in the recipe that, I sent over. I just sent it over like 10 minutes ago, Chef, before we started.
No, I got it in the show notes. I had to cut a few words out because I was limited to 5,000, but all your recipes are in the show notes.
Cool.
On YouTube. Facebook doesn't do that.
Okay, nice. So basically, the traditional recipe has fresh cheese, and it's got 5 of these guys. So it's a sauce that we're going to put over potatoes. It's got a little bit of onion, red onion, and it's going to have some garlic. And it usually has soda crackers. It also gives it a little bit of a base. So I'm trying to imitate all of those flavors of the queso fresco, which I'm not using, and the soda crackers, right? So this is why I chose all the ingredients that I did to make this sauce. What I did is I actually have roasted cashews, and I soaked these overnight, and I'm going to use this, to replace that soda cracker type of taste. I'm also going to use, since I'm not using cheese, I'm going to do a little bit of a squeeze of lemon, because it actually does traditionally have the lemon squeeze at the end in it. So I'm going to use more than just a squeeze. I'm going to use a half a lemon, right? And our plant-powered cheese that we always know about, right? Is nutritional yeast. So that's going to be really the sauce. Now, some people, one green planet I remember has a recipe for it that Heidi and I actually did at Kaiser. Sorry, 1 second here. And they don't saute anything. They just put everything right in the blender, which is interesting. It tasted really good. I can definitely send you that one over too if people want to try it. I thought it was a good one. The color didn't match the huancaína that Peruvians would know. And what I'm trying to do as I learn more of these recipes is really also make it appealing to my Peruvian peeps. Now, this recipe here was actually taste tested by my mom, my grandma, my stepdad, who used to own a restaurant in Peru. So we know it's legit. I had everybody taste everything. Okay, so what we do here, all right, is I'm actually going to saute some of these peppers that I've already, these yellow peppers that I've already taken the seeds and the little white veins out of, and some of these onions here. So again, similar thing. We're going to throw it all in the blender once it's sauteed and cooked up. Now, the thing when you're working with chili peppers, and I don't know if you can speak to this as well, Chef, but sometimes you get that really in the air where it just, you're breathing in that spice. So you got to make sure you clean it really well. Otherwise, you're going to start doing a little coughing with this, because the spice is very, very strong. It'll get in the air. If you breathe it in, it'll definitely affect you. Okay. All right. So I'm warming up my pan again, and while I'm doing that, actually also going to rinse this off real quick. All right, because I am going to cut this up here. All right. There we go. All right. Now, you don't have to really worry too much about making this uniform or anything like that. Just kind of this onion in a way that it'll saute evenly. And we're not going to do it for that long. Just to give it a nice flavor here. Throw that in the pan. All right, so I just threw that right in the pan there. Take these ingredients out of the way. Okay, and then I'm going to cut up the peppers. Now, I already warned my dad to go into the other room and lock the door in case I didn't clean these well enough where they're not going to emit that really strong, spicy air that my poor mom and grandma were choking on yesterday as I tried these recipes out. So, what if you're cooking with these particular yellow peppers? Like you go to the Spanish market, you find Peruvian products, and you use these. You want to saute 3 of them, and then we're going to put in 1 without sauteing, just raw. Usually it's 2, but I am kind of a wimp when it comes to spices. So I definitely, a lot of people are like, oh, you're not Peruvian. And I tell them, because I don't like spicy food, and I tell them that I am more Peruvian than the potato, más peruana que la papa, the saying that we have. But I just don't enjoy being in pain when I eat my food. So that is the reason why I do not enjoy a lot of spice, like very, very spicy food. Okay. All right. So let me grab my spoon real quick here. All right. So I want you guys to check out this really bright, awesome color there that we got going on. There we go. Very cool. All right. And my garlic clove that I'm just going to pop in there too. We give this a little, maybe just a couple of minutes, and then we're going to blend it up. What's it?
So what do you, Lily, tell us about your day. What do you eat all day, and what do you do for exercise? Tell us a little bit about your life.
What about me? Okay. I actually do eat a lot of legumes. Of course, luckily we grew up, my grandma used to cook a lot of legumes. Every day we had a different one. Lentils, beans, the Lima beans. And so I think lentils are definitely my go-to though, because they're so quick to cook. And pre-COVID, I was always running around with, my job and all of these projects. And so I want to come home to a quick home cooked meal. So I'll do a lot of prep with, if I want to do a quick lentil soup, I'll do that. Or if I usually do meal preps on Sundays too, where I'll do a big batch of beans. I'll do quinoa. I'll do usually a couple of different bases. So sometimes I'll just roast a bunch of sweet potatoes in the oven, so I have it for the few days. And other times I'll do black rice or quinoa. That's also quick, and I freeze it. And I tend to definitely just do more cooking. I want to do as much cooking as possible. So meal prep is always a thing that I am working towards. And as far as exercise goes, I try to be consistent with at least 3 days. I love weightlifting. That's definitely a lot more than cardio, but I know I have to do cardio because it's important for us. So 3 days a week is my constant. Doesn't always work out that way, but if it doesn't, I definitely keep myself busy with the walking. But currently, since COVID, I've actually been doing a lot better with just being in one place and being able to do my home workout routines. I follow this company called Exos a lot. They have a really great workout system, Exos at Home. It's free on YouTube. I interned for them when I was a student at Loma Linda, and I interned for them for my sports nutrition rotation. So I'm actually doing a research study with them as well now for the next 9 months, where I have to work out for 3 days with this app they've given me, and an additional 90 minutes. So it's 180 minutes a week. That's where I'm at these days.
So is sports nutrition, is that different than just, tell us a little bit about that. I mean,
Yeah.
if somebody's athletic, they really have to worry about their nutrition more than if they're just a regular plant-based eater?
So that's a great question, Chef. If someone is athletic, as you say, so for example, someone like me, if I can call myself athletic in the sense that I try to keep a consistent workout, and I wouldn't have to eat too much different versus someone who was training to be an Olympic athlete, such as my good friend Arian Jones, who's actually someone I went to school with at the Natural Gourmet, and she was competing in luge at the Olympic level. So her type of nutrition, as she's doing more plant-based stuff, would have to be a little bit different timing wise. When we're looking at, for example, a food that has a lot of fiber, like the type of legume that you choose to eat before a competition, for example, and the transit time that it takes to digest, like we'd have to really start to key in a little bit more on all of those aspects. And if you are, for example, if you have type 1 diabetes and you are a competitive athlete, nutrition is definitely going to be different. You're going to want to work with a registered dietitian in order to be able to timing of insulin, and to avoid hypoglycemia after an exercise bout.
I've always liked RDs, but I have such a newfound respect for them since hosting the Truth About GI Health Summit, which is free, guys, and I'll post the link November 14th to 22nd, because they specialize, some of these dietitians, in just gut health, and then even in different diseases of gut health, and they're just so knowledgeable.
Yeah, thank you, Chef, for bringing that up too. Within my profession, there's definitely different specialties that are also board certifications. So we can specialize in oncology nutrition, in sports nutrition, and geriatric nutrition. And there's a few levels of specialties there versus a general dietitian. Kind of like when you're looking at with doctors, there's general medicine, right? There's cardiologists, nephrologists, and those kinds of specialties. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm sure you saw the movie Game Changers.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Loved it. Actually, we went with the team. So we all did like a movie night date with our plant-based clinic team, which is great. Yes. What did you think of that documentary, Chef?
I really enjoyed it. I really did.
Good. I love that it's, getting the word out there about kind of going full circle with how I got interested in plant-based nutrition, for example, right? As an athlete competing in high school and college, and really at that time when people were saying that plant-based diets were really inferior for performance, right? And really seeing that, these examples in front of me that they were not, and now really getting the research out there and getting the awareness out there that no, they're not inferior to an omnivore diet, and it can be just as competitive, and we can even bring a competitive edge, which is awesome. It's an awesome thing that science continues to catch up to all of this. All right.
So, don't you miss Dr. Batiste though?
Yeah, what's cool is that he's so awesome. I still get to be in touch with him from now and then. Obviously, he's very, very busy. But we actually just recently, I got to talk to him because I contributed to an article with Sharon Palmer wrote, who you had on your show a few weeks back, on ethics and racism and just all these considerations when it comes to the plant-based world, and that was published in Today's Dietitian. And so I had a great conversation with Dr. Batiste around all of those issues because, as you know, he is working on that project Slave Food, and he is also really devoted to bringing awareness to all of these great topics. So, okay, I'm plugging plugging my blender back in here. Bring this back. All right. So now, again, make sure I turn that off. Okay, good. Now making the sauce. I have that. All right, let me make sure I'm looking at everything that I'm putting in here. I got everything going on. All right, so I have those. Usually for this, you want to use an almond milk or a cashew-based milk that doesn't have any flavoring in it. All right, so measuring cup. Water in here. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna throw this cashew milk in here. Let's see. And then we have our raw pepper. I did 5 yesterday, the 2 raw, and I just, like I said, it was way too hot for me, but everybody else approved and said that that definitely is what it tastes, what it should taste like. So, you know, who am I to argue with the Peruvian taste? Ah, here we are. This is what I was looking for. I got my nutritional yeast. Got my 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast. So again, replacing that queso fresco type of taste, the soda crackers, because we don't want to use, you know, those processed white crackers in here. All right, so I got my onion that's sauteed, my peppers. The salt, you know, that's something up to taste again. You can use, the consensus was that 1 teaspoon actually gave it the flavor of Peru.
Lily, sorry for interrupting. People keep asking about Exos. They don't know how to spell it.
Oh, sorry. EXOS.
Thanks.
Yes, no problem. My patients know all about it because I always recommend their workouts to them. Okay, girl. Whoa, almost forgot the lemon. Uh-oh. All right.
What are you making for Thanksgiving, Lily?
Oh, so I have a funny story about Thanksgiving. Plant-based. My first, one of my first plant-based Thanksgivings. Do you guys remember when mashed cauliflower, like the potato mashed cauliflower stuff, was really started to be really big? So I tried that one year for my family. So my family does not do entirely plant-based like I do. And I tried that cauliflower mash on them once, and they were very upset with me. This is when I was just learning how to cook. And, you know, I got really yelled at around why did I ruin the mashed potatoes. I since have learned how to make them in a way that is a little bit, you know, more to the taste of traditional potatoes with the cauliflower. Okay, so I have all my ingredients in there, and now so this is my sauce that's going to go over the, well, it's a little watery. Sorry, I think I'm sorry guys. I put a little too much of the milk on there. I think I was measuring the wrong thing there, but I actually have another one that I made. So when stuff like this happens, I already know. This is the one from last night. I'll show you the consistency it's supposed to be. There we go. Turn this off here. My sweet potatoes. Let me grab a spoon. I can show you. All right. This is the way that's supposed to look. Now,
that looks delicious.
There we go. Yes. So you know what, guys? I think I wrote it off here. Yes, I did. So I want everybody to take their pencils if you've printed this out, this recipe out, or you're going to. And it's just half a cup of the cashew milk on there, because that way you get this consistency. All right, that's how we want it. All right, now let me plate it for you guys real quick so I can show you how it's served in Peru. All right, I have a nice little glass plate here. I have my lettuce that I've already washed and soaked. So I'm using a nice Boston lettuce leaf here. That's usually how it's served traditionally. I'm gonna have my potato, my papa huayro. Now, traditionally, how we serve the papa la huancaína is people would traditionally peel all of the potato, but I'm not going to do that because I like the peel on. Okay, so let's see. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour it over here. There we go. All right. Okay.
Guys, don't forget to come back at 2 p.m. We have another potato cooking demo, this time with Dr. Gustavo Tolosa.
Usually you would serve it with, let's see. There you go.
It almost looks like a hollandaise sauce.
Yeah. Yeah, you could say that. You could say it's a little thicker than hollandaise, and the color will vary. But yeah, so it's supposed to be a cheese sauce. Now the story here is that it was a lady that was making these type of sauce serving it over potatoes. A lady from Huancayo. It's the city of Huancayo. That's where it gets its namesake. When the workers were building the train from the city of Huancayo to Lima, and so this lady became famous for her sauce. It traveled all the way to Lima, and now papa la huancaína is served in every household all across Peru, and again, every restaurant. And here's the vegan version. Usually served with a boiled egg and black olive. Yeah, but you can obviously omit that. All right. And finally, Chef, since I know that we don't want to feel like I've gone over time a lot, I'm just going to serve up what I have I'm going to plate real quick for you guys the dessert. And then I already have it made up from yesterday, this mousse. I was going to make it here in let me see that. Here's the consistency of it. The sweet potato mousse. Once I take all of those sweet potatoes and the dates and I blend it up, that I do use the Vitamix for, but you can use, whatever blender you have too. Like I said, my mom used to just make this in her regular Oster blender at home. Let me see. All right. Damn.
Yeah, that was my blender growing up, the Oster, and it's still a pretty darn good blender.
There you go. See, kind of like that. So you got the pecans on top. You serve it like a nice little mousse there. Now, this recipe was approved by our plant clinic team. We actually had a dinner where we celebrated some birthdays the other day, and I did a taste test for them of 3 different kinds. So with the peel off of the sweet potato, like my mom would do it, with the peel on, and the other one wasn't even boiled. It was just oven roasted. And this is the one that beat everybody out. So that's the recipe that you guys have for Dr. Michelle McMacken and the plant team.
Oh my God, that looks delicious. That would be a great holiday. That would be a great holiday dessert for Thanksgiving or Christmas or anytime, actually.
Yeah, and my colleague Chrisanne and I were talking about that. This could also, the health coach for our program and I were talking about that. This could also be like a pie filling. It just tastes really good. You can try it out with different recipes, but the base of it is the flavor is very good. All right.
Well, Lily, thank you so much. It's so great to connect with you again. And I did not know you were such a fabulous chef.
Oh, well, thank you, Chef. This is my first appearance.
Well, I hope it's not your last. Please come back anytime. Maybe Heidi would like to come on too.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
You guys could do it together. You don't have to be, with Zoom. You can be in 2 different locations.
That's true. I would love to do it with her.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lily. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. But the day is not done. We have a triple header today. So in just a little bit under 2 hours, we have another fabulous cooking demo. And I keep saying demo. There's no such word, demo. And possibly a fabulous piano recital from Dr. Gustavo Tolosa, who will be broadcasting from Argentina with another potato recipe. Everybody's saying gracias, Lily. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. Ciao.